Next on KPBS Evening Edition, rainy weather and rescues. From 20 people trapped in a storm drain to keeping our wet and snowy roads safe. Emergency crews kept busy throughout this holiday weekend, plus local military families say they're living in dangerous conditions. The battle they're going through over mold in their homes. And it's a holiday tradition for millions. Black Friday, a look at the deals and dollars being spent. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Good evening. It's November 29th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It may be Black Friday, but many San Diegans are seeing white thanks to a powerful, cold, wet, winter-like storm. Snow in our mountains making for some treacherous travel, but fun for those once they get there. We begin our coverage with KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman, who saw it firsthand in Mount Laguna.
We are just off the 8 freeway. This is Sunrise Highway on the way up to Mount Laguna. This is a change required area. Lots of people here pulled off to the side of the road. They have to put chains on their vehicles. These gentlemen right here, they just put chains on their vehicles. Unless you have a four-wheel drive truck or SUV, you need chains, the CHP says. Not an easy task, as we'll show you a little bit later for some people. But if you don't have chains, a lot of people out here just kind of having fun, taking it in. This snow, freshly fallen, perfect for turning into snowballs. Check this out. That's a bullet.
Wait. Sorry. Just playing here, snow fights. Oh, we don't get as much rain down here in San Diego. So when we do get rain, we try to come up here to the mountains because we know there's going to be snow. So we try to take advantage of that. Hey. We don't have any chains. So maybe next time we'll try to come prepared.
Gotcha. Dozens of San Diegans did bring chains. For many, it was their first time trying to put them on, a process that can get frustrating.
No. It fell off. It can't fall off. It's fairly straightforward, except that if you're in, we had to get over on the side, and there's a lot of snow and slush here, and so that makes it a little more difficult. I just need to be able to see this on the other side.
La Jolla residents Chris and Melissa Studer traded in the sand for some snow.
Because we heard there was a lot of snow over the last couple days, and our dogs have never seen snow, so we thought it'd be a lot of fun.
And they weren't the only ones having a hard time with chains.
I think she's gonna have to move forward a little bit.
Do you want to try it that way?
Wait.
It was just kind of difficult to get it on the back part or the inside of the tire.
You got it?
No.
Spring Womack came from Spring Valley with her mom and girlfriend. They too had some trouble.
It's working out. We're not yelling too much, so it's just a little bit confusing, so we're just figuring it out. Don't.
Right now.
No, it just turned a little bit.
With the help of directions and some photos, the trio were able to get the chains on and continue up the mountain. Despite conditions, the California Highway Patrol did not have to close any roads, but there were a lot of accidents and more could be coming. Once the area gets dark, roads could freeze and spell disaster for cars trying to get down from Mount Laguna. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Rescue teams had to brave the elements to pull 20 people to safety overnight during two life-saving operations. The first rescue took place around 11 last night near Dairy Mart Road in San Ysidro. 17 migrants got trapped in a flooded storm drain. Border Patrol agents called San Diego Fire Rescue for help. The migrants were brought up from a manhole about a quarter mile where they entered. Then about 1 o'clock this morning, crews heard a woman yelling from the same drain. Inside, they found her and two more men. A dead body was also found near the Tijuana River. It's unknown if that person was with the group. Border officials are investigating the incident. And the wet weather staying with us, with the county seeing impressive rainfall totals. Meteorologist Daji Aswad has details for you.
Wet conditions have been taking over the West Coast, and that will continue for some up today, but some drier air is moving in. But as we recap here, we saw some pretty impressive amounts of rainfall in the past 48 hours, near 5 inches in some spots here across San Diego County. With that being said, travel has been very difficult. Even impressive snow amounts across the entire state of California, 36 inches reported in Bear Valley. So that was since Tuesday. Still some winter weather to be concerned about to the east of San Diego proper. Winter storm warning in effect through late Friday night, and then we'll see some drier air come in for your Friday night and Saturday. I'll have more details on what to expect as we head into your Saturday night coming up. Back to you, Maya.
And Black Friday used to be an epic shopping day where the deals and the frenzy kicked off before sunrise. But its star on the retail calendar has dimmed a little in recent years, but it's still very important to stores and for shoppers. Karen Kaifa takes a look at what retailers expect today and this weekend.
Retailers eyeing a merry forecast for the weekend and the weeks ahead.
Individuals are feeling good about their particular set of circumstances, and that's translating into an indication that they're willing to spend still on the holidays.
At the core of that optimism, consumer confidence remaining high and unemployment low.
You got a job this Christmas, you feel better than you did last Christmas, you're going to spend a little bit more.
This year's calendar cuts the number of shopping days between Thanksgiving and Christmas by 6 from 2018. So retailers got the deals going early, a direction they've moved in anyway.
Regardless of how many days between Thanksgiving Day and the 25th, they know what gifts they're going to get through, and so they're planning accordingly, and retailers are responding to that.
Some shoppers taking advantage.
They were running like pre-Christmas sale or like pre-Black Friday sale, which I bought quite a few presents, so it did help me.
Others waiting to see what's in store and online in the next few days.
When ideas come to me, I just sort of file it away and go from there, but probably not in earnest until Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving.
In Paramus, New Jersey, I'm Karen Kaifa.
And while many spent Black Friday doing their Christmas shopping, some could be thinking ahead to how you want to give back this Giving Tuesday. KPBS reporter Priya Sridhar has tips on how to give back and avoid a scam.
Giving Tuesday, it's the global charitable movement founded in 2012 by New York's 92nd Street Y in partnership with the United Nations Foundation. The movement encourages people around the world to give donations, time, or goods to charities. Last year, people in 150 countries raised $400 million online. In San Diego, the movement is strong too. Last year, Serving Seniors, a nonprofit that provides meals, housing, and other programs for seniors living in poverty, raised $40,000 on Giving Tuesday alone.
A lot of charities came around and said, look, we need to do something to highlight kind of what the holiday season is about, which is helping each other. And so that was where Giving Tuesday came about. And a lot of organizations, this is a time when they're reaching out to get prospective donors.
President Paul Downey says many of the donations are small, from working families or people, but he says they add up to make a big difference. While he says the spirit of Giving Tuesday is noble, it's important to be cautious about where you donate your hard-earned money.
Well, for those of us that operate legitimate, bona fide charities, sometimes we get tarred with the same brush with some of the scam artists that are out there. And the holiday season is when they come out. And so they're targeting, for the same reasons we're reaching out to folks with a legitimate cause, they're reaching out with a scam cause, or trying to parlay off of what people's emotions and try to get them to donate to scams.
Here are some of his tips to ensure your donations get to a worthy cause. 1. Look for a local address. Don't send money to a P.O. box. You should be able to drive to the charity and even take a tour of their facilities. 2. Use websites like the California Attorney General or Charity Navigator to get a good understanding of what the charity you're interested in does. 3. Ask specific questions about a charity's financials. If it's not on their website, call them and ask for a 990 tax form. Be wary of charities who seem hesitant to provide details. Ideally, 85 cents of every dollar raised should go directly to programs and services of the charitable organization. He says by doing your due diligence, you can make sure that your spirit of generosity makes a positive difference. Priya Sridhar, KPBS News.
Dozens of Marine and Navy families are staying in hotel rooms over the holidays, and many more say they are living in unsafe conditions. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh examines issues with private military housing in San Diego and across the nation.
We're going to share, okay?
This holiday, Amanda Lopez is living in a hotel room with her husband, a Navy corpsman, and their 3 children.
Very draining. It's hard enough trying to stay on top of them.
trying to keep them quiet because there's people below us, people next to us.
The Lopez's have been living in Murphy Canyon, private military housing run by Lincoln Military Housing. This is the Lopez's second hotel. They've been out of their home for weeks. She says Lincoln has given them conflicting responses about whether it's mold, how it's being cleaned, or when they might be back in their home. The Lopez family is one of dozens of San Diego military families in similar circumstances this holiday. A group of mothers have met in a park this week, concerned about the impact mold has on their young children, including Hope Scott, whose young daughter was hospitalized repeatedly this year after living in Santo Terrace.
She almost died 2 times in the year that we lived here.
Tell her how many times she was in the hospital.
And hospitalized 8 times in 9 months for respiratory problems. And housing never cared.
A month ago, they were moved to a different home. Around the country, there has been a growing pressure within each of the services to address problems with privatized military housing. In the past year, Congress has held hearings. There have been widespread complaints of mold, rodents, and substandard conditions.
I want them to do what is best for our families. And if that means coming in and gutting these homes.
Hope Bradley has become an unofficial spokesperson for some of the San Diego families. Mold is the big issue in Murphy Canyon. Military tenants feel stuck. Private contractors like Lincoln take their basic allowance for housing, their BAH, right out of their paychecks.
We need the ability to say our homes are not safe, our homes are infected with rodents, our homes are infested with mold, and to be able to say, okay, we're not paying rent for homes that are uninhabitable.
The commander of Naval Base San Diego, Captain Mark Niswadomi, released a statement saying, in part, "We are aware of the mold issues in some Murphy Canyon homes and have been fully engaged with Lincoln Military Housing. If you feel your concerns are not being addressed, we want to hear from you." Lincoln Housing released its own statement saying that they have been changing their procedures over the last year, saying mold is always taken very seriously, which is why qualified professionals address it. In September, a San Diego jury awarded a Marine family $2 million in their lawsuit against Lincoln Housing. The Navy says at the moment, 27 families are living in hotels over the holiday. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
San Diego may soon get another legal marijuana dispensary. A pot shop proposed for Torrey Pines now has initial approval. The proposed dispensary is in an office park on Sorrento Valley Road. It's the 4th and final pot shop that the city will allow in City Council District 1. And it's an example of how cannabis is becoming an interstate business. The company behind the project is based in Colorado. It took more than 2 years for the city to process the permit application. The pot shop's approval could still face an appeal. San Diego Zoo researchers hope this weekend to impregnate 2 more southern white rhinos using artificial insemination techniques pioneered there. It's part of a plan to save an endangered species. The animals are being prepared to be surrogates to revive the northern white rhinos. Only 2 northern whites are still alive, and they're both too old to breed. Postdoctoral researcher Parker Pennington says the researchers want to build on the 2 successful births this year.
If we are not successful this weekend, then we will try again on their next cycle, which could be either 30 or 70 days later. And we won't quite know which length that is until we monitor them through ultrasound and see that either they didn't get pregnant, and then we will monitor them to see when they're about ready to ovulate again.
And Pennington says the team hopes all 6 of the southern white females will give birth within the next 2 years. The last few days were gloomy and cold, but are we in for a break from the rain? For those answers, we'll turn to meteorologist Daji Aswad with our forecast.
Hopefully you had a great holiday as we continue through tonight. Partly cloudy skies and saying goodbye to some of that intense wet weather, dropping down into the upper 40s for San Diego. Low 41 in Oceanside and cooling down to 40 in Borrego Springs, needing the jackets in Mount Laguna with low 27. We're still looking at some winter weather to come your way, but that will continue to lessen as we head through the rest of tonight. We're going to take you through your weekend here as we move into Saturday. Notice we have plenty of moisture coming into the California coastline. Not yet into San Diego, but eventually some of this this moisture will try to translate a little further to the south. The heaviest remains to the north into San Francisco, and as well as Redding, and even some snow in and around those mountainous areas. As we move through your Sunday, notice heaviest is still to our north, where we see our next chance for some heavier wet weather will be past your Monday and Tuesday. Atmospheric river is in place. That's going to allow for some flooding across California. As I mentioned, not a ton of widespread wet conditions for San Diego County tomorrow. High of 62 in Oceanside, 64 in San Diego, lower 60s in Borrego Springs. Looking at a high of 42 tomorrow in Mount Laguna, and saying goodbye to the cloudy skies. This weekend, as I mentioned, we'll be watching lots of moisture come into the west coast. Remain mostly dry here across the county. Temperatures in the upper 60s at the coast. By Wednesday, periods of rain return for the coast. We'll also see that wet weather returning for the inland areas as we move into the middle of the week, with temperatures cooling down in the mid 60s, needing the jackets by the middle of the week as well for the mountain areas. And that wet weather going to have a break for us here in the deserts, but by the middle of the week, it returns. So grab the umbrellas. Reporting for KPBS News, I'm your meteorologist, Aji Swad. Back to you.
Diversionary Theater on Park Boulevard is staging Santaland Diaries for the first time. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando decided to stop by to see the theater transform itself into a winter wonderland.
Hey y'all, welcome to Santaland. All of our elves have been working around the clock to make everything ready for Santa, and we here at Diversionary are ready to make your Yuletide gay.
So let's find out what those elves had to do to turn Diversionary Theater into a winter wonderland.
The kind of big idea here is that we're mimicking Macy's Christmas, which is so over the top that there can't be too much. So these are the renderings that, I do for Anthony early on, and they're really a tool for us to look at what the play is going to look like in advance in terms of how much space there are, colors, and, just planning the overall logistics of how the space is going to function. I think my biggest fear is that we haven't bought enough, even though we've bought thousands and thousands of dollars worth of Christmas stuff. So here we have just a small portion of the decorations that we're going to be using. All of this stuff was actually donated by patrons of the theater, and we're going to be using it to decorate the lobby and the outside space, in addition to all of the stuff that we've bought and collected. But this is the first time that we've really kind of gone all out and decorated from the moment that the audience walks into the door all the way up into the theater. So Christmas is so iconic that you can't really fake it. And so it's all or nothing, and coming up with clever ideas and large gestures that can really transform a space without, doing a million things to it has been probably the biggest challenge of all of this. So the plan for this space is to turn it into a snow globe. So the idea is that we'll have a giant snow machine up on the ceiling, and as the audience comes in, it'll be snowing all around them. We'll also decorate the space with different vignettes and Christmas decorations, so it really feels like you're coming from the street into kind of this Christmas wonderland.
I didn't believe he could do it, but I was wrong. The forecast is for snow every night as you take a new route to the stage.
So this is part of the new pathway that people are going to enter through as they're coming up to the theater. We wanted to have a way to kind of set the audience back on their heels, give them a new experience, and get to experience our theater space in a brand new way.
So after coming up the stairs, the audience will actually take the same path that actors would take to get to the stage, except for we'll have transformed this hallway into a path of giant presents. What I wanted to do here was see how large presents would need to be to kind of fill that hallway out and make it feel like you were really going through a tunnel of presents.
Well, that was the plan the Diversionary elves had.
There are always variables. There's always stuff that pops up. But the great thing about those funky things that happen is that oftentimes they lead to even better stuff. We were planning on having the big packages in the hallway, and we changed that so it's kind of like a winter wonderland with a starry sky. Making those adjustments and thinking on the fly that sometimes lead to the really yummy stuff.
Like meeting Santa.
We're going to stop you at the end of the hallway one by one if you got to the theater on time like good little children. you'll actually get the opportunity to meet Santa on our stage, which is really exciting. It's fun to get to invite our audience to do things that they wouldn't normally be able to do. And when's the last time you got to take a picture on the stage of the show that you're about to see?
See, it doesn't work. I'm wearing gloves.
I was really excited about the idea of giving an audience an experience that they wouldn't otherwise get at a theater, something new. It upends their expectations. It gets them ready to kind of go with anything.
Working as an elf in Macy's Santaland means being at the center of the excitement.
I can laugh at Christmas. I'm no rube. I understand how ridiculous the whole enterprise is, but at the same time, I mean, how can you not be happy when you get to sit in Santa's chair and spend every night with elves and glitter and the smell of cinnamon? It's kind of a beautiful place to live your life every night.
At least until December 22nd. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
Tomorrow marks the 10th anniversary of the Small Business Saturday shopping movement. In today's Consumer Watch, Reed Binion takes a closer look at the financial impact of the national effort.
Keeping your holiday dollars at home. This Saturday marks the 10th anniversary of Small Business Saturday, the national effort aimed at encouraging you to buy from local shops, everything from unique gifts to tasty local meals and treats. And the movement is gaining momentum because of the impact it has on communities.
The more we get disconnected from our makers, our growers, the more we just lose a sense of our identity, culturally.
For every dollar spent at a small business in the U.S., roughly 67 cents stay in the local community. That's according to American Express. The company also found that when consumers are aware of their impact, 75% say they would be more likely to buy a product or service from a local, independently owned business. Since the Shop Small movement began in 2010, consumers have reported spending more than $100 billion on Small Business Saturday. And that brings holiday cheer to small business owners who have to compete with well-established shopping holidays like Black Friday and Cyber Monday. For Consumer Watch, I'm Reed Binion.
We're here with SDSU marketing lecturer and co-founder of Bottom Line Marketing, Miro Kopik. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Maya.
It's finally here, Black Friday.
Yes, it is.
And many people have been bombarded with mailers trying to get them into these brick and mortar stores to do their shopping. Can you tell us how the malls are keeping up with online retailers?
Well, Black Friday is really different today than it was as recently as 5 years ago. But still today, over 115 million Americans are going to be out in the malls nationwide. And about 165 million are going to be shopping over the entire weekend, which, a lot of people are going to go multiple days. But here's what's happening both in store and in the mall. So in stores have really improved the shopping experience. Whereas they used to have those doorbuster specials at 6 in the morning and people would run through. They're making those really special deals that are only available today. Even if they don't have it in store, you get a rain check. And malls have really transformed. The A-level malls, really the high-end malls and the upper B-level malls, they've really making themselves a destination. So it makes it better for retailers in those malls. They've improved, instead of just having the photo with Santa or the nice decorations, what they've really done is they've improved the restaurants, they've improved, they've put in movie theaters or gyms, but more importantly, they have a lot of pop-up stores, seasonal pop-up stores, and they are reconfiguring all the places where people rest and relax, so it can really be a destination rather than a location. And the last thing that they're doing during the holidays is a lot of entertainment. So not just carolers at the mall, but concerts, and UTC is even going to have the San Diego Ballet later this month.
Yeah. And of course, we all have these little computers in our hands that make spending money so much easier. How are consumers shopping differently this year?
Wow, this has been a huge trend. In fact, mobile devices have revolutionized the way consumers shop. In fact, what's interesting is that we as consumers take a look at our phone at least 25 times a day. We spend almost 4 hours a day on that phone. And during the holidays, what retailers have done is they have better wish lists or getting alerts. Their mobile experiences have substantially improved. In fact, there's statistics that show that 70% of all mobile searches lead to an action within 1 hour. So if you're going to do something on your mobile device, you're going to act on it. And what's happening is that at the point of sale, if you find something that you like and you could find it elsewhere for cheaper, retailers are really kind of allowed and permitted to match prices. The last thing is that last year on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, 66% of all online purchases were made through a mobile device. And so that would suggest that this year, say on Cyber Monday, that's expected to generate $10 billion in sales. Over $660 million of those sales are going to be made on those mobile devices.
And finally, patterns of spending. What can you tell us about that?
Great question. Shopping patterns, this year consumers are going to spend well over $1,000 per consumer in buying holiday gifts for friends, family, co-workers, and they're going to buy, primarily during the holidays, it's apparel, it's gift cards, consumer electronics. The discounts we're going to see in malls this year or at retailers are going to be relatively less, 20 to 30% you'll see on average. But what's interesting is on the really big doorbuster deals, those were negotiated a year ago between the retailer and the manufacturer. But the everyday in and out deals, 20 to 30% because they're really putting the money in, making sure you're getting your gifts quickly within one day.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Mira Kopik from SDSU and Bottom Line Marketing.
Thanks, Maya.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great weekend and a great evening.